Hi, it's Carl Brower, and I'm standing next to the Lamborghini Urus SE. Now, Lamborghini as a brand has never been about subtlety or trepidation. They've always been about boldness and brashness. And even in the practical world of SUVs, the Lamborghini Urus has, well, it's always put the funk in functionality. But this year, it's also added a new domain that it's never seen before. Yes, the E in Urus SE stands for electrification. This is the first hybrid version. It's actually a plug-in hybrid version of the Lamborghini Urus. Now, it adds a lot of torque and power, as electrification always does, but it also adds some weight. How does it all wind up in the mix? Where do you end up with this vehicle in terms of performance? We're going to jump in and find out right now. By adding electrification to the Urus, the vehicle benefits from more horsepower and more torque, and it even gets a pretty impressive all-electric range of around 35 miles. But it also gains weight, as is the case with every vehicle when you electrify it. It always seems antithetical to me to take a performance vehicle and add weight for any purpose, even if you're supposedly gaining horsepower and torque, which you always do from electrifying a vehicle. But in the case of the Urus, what you end up with is about 700 pounds more than you get from the S or the Performante, the two other models that are not electrified. And those models are going away after 2025. So if you don't like electrification in your Urus, you better get out and talk to your dealer right now and get your vehicle ordered, because after 2025, it's all electrified. They're all going to have this same powertrain. In terms of price for 2025, when you can get all three models still, if you want the Lamborghini Urus S, the base model, it's about $242,000. If you want the Lamborghini Performante, the top model, it's about $274,000. And this SE electrified version lands right between them at about $263,000. For now, you can get all three Lamborghini Urus models at your local dealer. They all are powered by a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8, but the two existing models, the S and the Performante, they only make 657 horsepower. This one, with the electric motor helping it out, makes 789 horsepower and 701 pound-feet of torque. It is the most powerful Lamborghini Urus you can buy today, and it's also the quickest. It's supposed to do 0 to 60 in around 3.4 seconds, but Car and Driver got 3.1 out of it, which makes it the fastest model. And it also has a top speed of 194 miles per hour. So it did benefit and become the fastest of all of them because of the electric motor, in spite of the increased weight. So once again, we see the electrification process does overcome the weight that it adds. This is the fastest and most powerful Urus. It's also the most fuel efficient. It will get 20 miles per gallon in mixed EPA rating versus 16 mpg for the Urus S or the Urus Performante. This is made possible by an electric motor that's embedded into the 8-speed automatic transmission and a 25.9 kilowatt hour battery pack that powers that motor. All of these vehicles, of course, have an 8-speed automatic and all-wheel drive as standard. And this one, because it's a plug-in hybrid, not just a hybrid, it actually gets 48 mpge, that mpg equivalent, when it's leveraging both a fully charged battery and the hybrid drivetrain that's helping it out. Thankfully, this is a Lamborghini, so we know it's not really about fuel efficiency, it's about performance. And in this case, Lamborghini has made maximum torque arrive with the help of that motor at 1750 RPM. And you can feel it real easy when you roll into the throttle. It's also got a new electro-hydraulic multi-plate clutch, and it's got a new electronic rear differential. These things work in tandem to give the vehicle better, more effective torque vectoring. And it should work in all circumstances, not just on the track or pavement, but also when off-roading, according to Lamborghini. I have to admit, I'm impressed by this vehicle's performance despite the weight gain. Obviously, the performance figures speak for themselves, but just driving it, it really tells you the story. This relentless pull, this ability to have torque everywhere in the RPM range because there's an electric motor helping out. And you've got, of course, the paddle shifters here to take advantage of dropping gears or upshifting as quickly as you want. It's impressive because the engineers, they have to make these cars not feel like they've gained hundreds of pounds. And that's the upside of putting an electric motor in a vehicle, is that the instant torque can hide that more effectively than you might imagine. I'm always surprised. the recent Bentley Continental GT that I drove that has now been electrified, the Mercedes CLE 53, even the Porsche Panamera. All of these electrified performance vehicles, they hide their weight relatively well, if not extremely well. And I've driven enough Lamborghini Uruses before that I have a good sense of how they feel, how they handle their dynamics, and I can't sense another 700 pounds on this one. A lot of suspension tuning going on, a lot of engineering, and of course, far more torque and horsepower, all coming together to hide that extra weight. Now remember, this vehicle weighs 700 pounds more than the last Lamborghini Urus, and the last one wasn't exactly light at around 4,800 pounds, but this one weighs 5,500 pounds. So do you really want to go around corners in it? Sure, it's fast in a straight line, but what about handling? As I said before, and confirming again as I speak to you, it's bizarre. It goes around corners really well, this 5,500 pound beast. I'm still not even in sport or race mode. I'm just in the standard Strata street mode, and it still feels great on a twisty road here. But we're going to go ahead and kick it up a notch into sport mode, see if we can get a little more throttle response. And actually we're going to go ahead and put it, oh, it is in performance. Maybe it defaults to that when you go to sport mode. So we're in performance mode for our drivetrain, and we're in sport mode for our rest of our vehicle dynamics. And it's kind of bizarre to have a vehicle where you're sitting this high up off the ground and you know that it weighs almost 3 tons, and yet it's really confident around corners. I mean, it feels great. The steering ratio is pretty much perfect in terms of how quickly you're navigating these corners and how much steering input you're giving. Brakes, and of course an unending wall of torque whenever you even breathe, let alone hammer the throttle. So, plus some nice exhaust popping when you let off. So it's a very capable vehicle, not just in a straight line, but around corners too. This all-new Urus SE not only previews the hybrid technology we're going to start seeing across this model line, but it also previews the mid-cycle refresh. The other two Uruses, the Performante and the base S model, they still have the previous design, but they're going to go away after 25, and in 26 they'll all look like this, which means the hood will now come to the very end of the front of the vehicle instead of stopping short like it used to. And I really do feel like this gives a more cohesive look to the front of the vehicle. I like this hood all the way to the end. That looks good. It's also got matrix LED headlights now that are both narrower and kind of sleeker looking. They're also more effective. The technology gives better lighting, and they surround or flank a larger grille, as you can see. Do grills ever get smaller, by the way, during refreshes and redesigns? No, they always get bigger, right? That's the rule. When you look at the side of the new Lamborghini Urus SE, well, it's pretty much the same as all the previous year. No changes, except in theory, there are 23-inch wheels available starting for 2025, but this one, surprisingly, as a press cars that are often loaded with all the latest gadgets, does not have 23-inch wheels. It's only got 22-inch wheels, but you can get 23s. Probably more likely to see those on the Performante because they probably hurt the potential fuel efficiency or electric range of the Urus SE. Maybe that's why this one doesn't have them. The mid-cycle updates continue inside the Urus SE, where the familiar jet fighter-inspired cabin remains. You see these kind of joystick controls down here for different things. This gets you reverse, this gets you your different driving modes, and this actually gets you your different electric vehicle modes or hybrid modes. Right now, it's actually in recharge mode, which is pretty cool. It's a little battery symbol, and it's essentially able to recharge the battery without plugging it in. Of course, you can plug this in, but I was told that if you go at lower speeds and stop and go, this will recharge. If you're cruising around at higher speeds, you're not going to get much recharge. And I got this vehicle about 24 hours ago, and it had one segment off of full on its battery charge, and it's still there because I keep using recharge as I've driven it around. So it hasn't lost any of its stored electric energy in that battery pack. But you can also put it in hybrid mode where it will be using electricity and the internal combustion drivetrain. And when I hit that, of course, the engine immediately died. But when I hit the battery one to try to save the battery power, the engine immediately starts. And below it is performance. And that's supposed to basically give you maximum acceleration and not worry about anything except that. Now, you've also got your driving modes, and there are a lot of them. You've got Strada, which I believe is street in Italian. You've got sport, you've got Corso, which is race, and then I'm not even going to pretend to know what these lower three are. Well, Terra's Earth, I know that. But anyways, I think these are your off-road driving modes. So you've got your 3 street driving modes and your 3 off-road driving modes, plus your 3 electric driving modes or hybrid driving modes. You've also got trademark Lamborghini hidden stop-start button below the little access flap, and very common Lamborghini. Most of this stuff isn't new except for the electric vehicle hybrid controls, but this 12.3-inch central touchscreen is new for this year, and it's also supposed to feature a new kind of human-machine interface that's supposed to be more intuitive and easier to figure out. So I have only played with it a little bit, mostly with it in CarPlay mode, but it is supposed to have simpler menus. And between these 2 sections, you've got your dual zone climate control. This one is big, it's clear, it's sharp, the graphics are great, and everything from seat heat to cooling to temperature control, all that's very easy to find. You've also got the carbon fiber package inside this vehicle, and it's about $8,113, and it's the shiny carbon fiber, so you can see it around the air registers. It's really all over this car. It's on the door panels. So that's one of the components in this vehicle that adds to its high price. We're going to discuss the total price of this vehicle in a second, but there are a lot of options. This vehicle costs about $80,000 more than its base starting price, and about $8,000 of that comes from just this carbon fiber interior package. Another update for the 2025 Urus SE is this gauge cluster, which is an improved digital technology. It now has a gauge for your battery charge state level as well as the fuel gauge on the other side. And there are a series of different parts of the car you can look at through here, including things like the different gauges, of course, tire pressure monitoring, and even a graphical image of the battery charge level. And that's just on this side. Then you can change the other side too with different choices over there. So a much more advanced driver's information center here and gauge cluster with a lot of customization options. Like any multi-$100,000 vehicle, you expect the interior materials to be of high quality in your Urus SE, and they are, though this one's been helped out with about $80,000 worth of options. It starts with things like Sportivo black leather seats with contrast stitching. These are just over $6,000, to a $7,400 Bang & Olufsen audio system with, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers singing his magic. You've got other things like these interior door release handles in red, or as they're called on the window sticker, Rosso Festo, and those things are going to cost you $884. You've got this cool steering wheel with the high quality textured leather for $1,376. You got an ambient light package, and it's $3,258. You've got the embroidered Lamborghini shields on the seats. These things will cost you $984. So it adds up quickly. Interior dark package, $2,891. Sun blinds package, and it does have these sun blinds that'll go up and down, powered sun blinds for the second row. That's $1,713. So you can see how the price goes up quickly when you start throwing things in here. Full electric front seats are $3,300. The optional stitching is $939 that you see in here. There's this dark package, this dark leather interior package that's listed here, and it's got these kind of dark panels here between things. And of course, we already talked about the $8,000 plus dollar. I think it's $8,113 shiny big. It's officially called the Big Interior Carbon Package dash Shiny. and you see a lot of shiny carbon fiber in here, and carbon fiber is never cheap. So you can do lots of things with this vehicle in terms of customization, and you're going to need to bring your checkbook if you're doing any of them. You can also get 100 different exterior colors for this vehicle, and if one of those doesn't suit you, you can bring a sample of whatever shade you like, and I'm pretty sure Lamborghini will match it. Same on the interior. I think you can do almost anything inside this vehicle's color beyond things like tans and blacks and reds, which are pretty easy to get. Bring your checkbook, enjoy customizing your Lamborghini Urus SE, and make sure nobody else has one just like you. That's the whole point, right? The Urus's second row, like the front row, is pretty plush, not only in terms of materials, but in terms of features. This one's got a dual zone climate control system, dual rear seat zone. So you can decide what each passenger on each side of the second row's temperature should be separately. Mid-cycle updates to the back of the Urus are pretty subtle, but you do have a new spoiler and updated diffuser that add 35% more downforce at high speeds than before. Maybe cooler and certainly more noticeable is this mesh grille that sits just beneath the taillights. That wasn't there before, and Lamborghini claims that it was inspired by classic models, including the Gallardo. Now, we talk about utility for this vehicle, and I was able to prove it during my loan. But before we get to the details, let's start with the basic facts. If you keep the second row seat up, you get 22 cubic feet of cargo capacity. And if you fold that second row seat down, you get 56 cubic feet of cargo capacity. And that's a lot. And I was able to utilize that during my loan in a pretty helpful and cool way, in a somewhat unique way. Let's show that for just a sec. During the loan period with this Lamborghini Urus SE, we also visited the once glorious and now heavily damaged Pacific Palisades. And in the midst of the destruction, well, its post-apocalyptic styling seemed to kind of fit in, even in this brilliant and beautiful blue color. But more importantly, we decided to use this SUV in a completely unorthodox way, something most owners can't imagine doing. We used it as a utility vehicle. Holy cow! And look at that. It was able to carry a lot of things carefully packaged up from a house in the Palisades. So, yep, there actually is some form following pure function with this Lamborghini Urus. So you can see it is a truly utilitarian device. You can do utilitarian things with it. I'm not sure how often that will happen with these cars, but it was nice to be able to confirm that. What's also cool is that to turn it into max cargo space like I needed, I had to pull out this cargo cover and these kind of organizers here, these organizers, but they're really easy to do. I transformed it from this kind of more refined and cargo cover organizer to no cargo cover and no organizer. You just push these top buttons and these things pop right out. And then there's a hard divider back here, cargo divider. And again, it's easy to just remove that by pushing the top button. So if you want a highly organized cargo area, you can get it. And these were extra cost, but you can get these features. And if you want max cargo area, the transformation with the seats flipped and these things removed takes about 25 seconds. There's one other element that I want to talk about related to this car's performance, but not its straight line acceleration or super SUV performance. I want to talk about its environmental performance. Yes, I do. As mentioned and as seen in the utility reference, I did go to the Pacific Palisades to load things into the back of this vehicle. And in that trip on the return journey, I had saved up most of the battery's energy, and I wanted to see how far the vehicle would go on pure electricity. I'd been using the driver mode to not use the battery, and I flipped it into pure EV mode while I was coming back from the Palisades. And I was highly impressed. According to Google, I went about 40 miles on pure EV from the Palisades to the Orange County, LA County line, where the 405 and the 605 come together before the engine ever came on. Now, admittedly, there was a lot of stop and go in the Palisades, and it was in the afternoon time frame where you even had a certain amount of stop and go on the freeways. So I was usually going somewhere between probably 20 and 60 and rarely over 60. But still, the battery wasn't even fully charged. It was down one segment on its fuel gauge, so it wasn't fully charged, and it was with two people in the vehicle and not really heavy, but a fully loaded cargo area in terms of space. and it went about 40 miles on pure electricity. So if you actually do care about saving the planet and you want to use this as a plug-in hybrid that very rarely has to turn on the internal combustion engine, you can do that, or you could do that. I've proven that it's available and possible with this vehicle. There's another option I wanted to discuss on this car. It's in a very expensive but very cool looking blue paint job. This is a striking color, as you can see, and I'm a big fan of blues, so I love it. But I'm not sure about the name. And I'm not going to tell you the name or say the name, but I will publish the name right now on the screen and let you be the judge of this paint's name. Name aside, I love the shade. There's no denying the wide range of capabilities you get with the Lamborghini Urus SE. From its super cool styling to its amazing performance to its surprisingly effective utility as an SUV. I did prove that while I had the vehicle. But you're going to pay for that wide range of capabilities with a starting price of $262,000. And with this one equipped with 29 options, the cheapest of which was $431 for contrast stitching on the steering wheel, this one tops out at $341,000, or almost $80,000 above the base MSRP. You can get these cars equipped however you want, but you're going to pay for it, especially if you get it highly specialized. Maybe more important than any of that, though, is this first hybrid version of Lamborghini's super SUV. It really points the way where the brand is going. They've already done that with the Rivolto supercar. Now they're following through with the Urus Super SUV and hybrid technology. We're going to see more of this across the exotic car landscape, and given how effective this car is as a super SUV, not just in terms of capability but also performance, in spite of the 700 horsepower weight gain, it still feels good going around corners, and it's even faster than the other two versions that don't have hybrid technology. If we can bend the laws of physics with hybrid technology and end up with this kind of result, I can't keep harping on the fact that they add weight. They do add weight, and they also add performance, and it's a surprisingly effective combination. Let's look forward to more cars like this in the future in the super SUV category.